Okay, I've got my safety gear on because it's time to do some science. I've got my handy marker. You saw me melt aluminum. That melts at 1220 degrees Fahrenheit. Copper melts at 1984 degrees. I tried several times and even let it go for as long as an hour and a half and it never got hot enough. So now I've made some modifications. I'm going to work my way up through the metals, temperature by temperature, to see if I can get my furnace up to hot enough to melt copper. Once I can melt copper, I can basically melt any of the metals I have interest in melting. This is an awesome melting point chart that I found on the internet. And we're going to go ahead and refer to this throughout this video because I really like it. Along with the crutches, I'm going to also melt these aluminum bullet casings. They're like 45s, 38s, there's some 9mm. They're aluminum, so I'm going to add them in as well. After aluminum, the next metal to melt is sterling silver. Sterling silver is made up of silver and copper. Silver has a melting point of 1762 degrees Fahrenheit. Copper we know is 1984. So this is sterling silver. The melting point of sterling silver is 1640 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so that's our next goal, 1640. Here, I'll show you how I identify sterling silver. So any chance that I get that I can find it for a good deal, I collect costume jewelry from like yard sales. A lot of it's this kind of stuff. Just various pieces here. Now, one thing though, is that quite often the jewelry is actually valuable. And so you can look for some indications to see if it's a valuable metal. So one of the first things I do when I get some jewelry is I will test it. This is a magnet off of a hard drive. You could use any magnet, but what you do is you just touch it to the jewelry. If it sticks to the magnet, it is not a precious metal. So you can just take that and just set it aside. Okay, now there are other metals like this that is non-ferrous. It doesn't stick to the magnet. So then what you do is you look around on the inside if it's a bracelet or a ring, and you try to find if there's anything stamped. The little stamps are very hard to read sometimes, especially on smaller jewelry. So that's why jewelers use a loop look at is silver. So silver often looks like this. It's dirty when it's real silver. Because it's got tarnish on it, right? When we look inside, it is stamped right in here, right there. It says sterling. That means sterling silver. So they're either stamped with the word sterling or SS, or there's one other, if you can see on the inside of this, there's a number there, 925. That means 92.5% pure silver. That basically defines sterling silver. So sterling silver is 92.5% pure silver. The rest of it is copper or nickel, something like that. Over time, I've collected these pieces, things like this and this, and then I melted them down. And in the past, I did it with a torch and tried to make an ingot out of it. So this is an ingot of sterling silver. I stamped it on the back, but it's a very ugly ingot because I never really got this to full temperature for very long. I just barely got it to melting temperature, and then it just plopped in. So we're going to do a melt with, I'm going to remelt this ingot along with these two pieces, and we'll make a nice clean ingot. The melting point of sterling silver is 1640 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so that's our next goal, 1640. As the sun started to go down, I noticed that a lot of heat is leaking out of the side of my furnace, out of the seam between the lid and the body. In an effort to try to keep as much heat in as possible, I've made this gasket. This is KO wool. It's insulated cloth, basically. It's not fiberglass, it's ceramic fibers, and it's actually an excellent insulator. It's better than this stuff in here for sure. Anyway, because it's kind of soft, you can see how I kind of cut a gasket there for it. So now when I put the lid on, there won't be heat escaping around the seam here. Another thing that I did, I found out that, sure enough, my mixer pipe was way too long. Previously, I had like a 10-inch pipe, but it's only 3/4 inch. So after talking to some people on the internet, I found out that 6 inches is the proper size for a 3/4 inch mixing tube. And then inside here, the MIG tip, I had a 0.023 on it, and I've put a little bit fatter one, a 0.035, I believe is what it is right now. Anyway, we're gonna give that a try, see if we can get it much hotter. This is the Crucible I normally use, and this is my new Crucible. It's a lot smaller. I'm going to be using the smaller one today because I don't have as much metal to melt. So our goal today, the temperature goal, is 1640 degrees. That is the melting point of sterling silver. I have this ingot, so we'll melt that. I've got this sterling silver ring, bracelet.
Devil in a red dress, call 911, I'm a killer. You know I hate to confess. Bang bang, got my hand on the trigger. The devil in a red dress, call 911, I'm a killer. You know I hate to confess. Bang bang, got my hand, call
Next, with a melting point of 1650 degrees, 10 degrees higher than sterling silver, is my cousin Phoebe. See you ZN FE BP. Sorry, PB. My cousin Phoebe. These are copper, zinc, iron, and PB is lead. Now, copper we know melts at 1984. Zinc melts at 787 degrees. Iron melts at 2795 degrees. That's way hotter than my furnace will go, I'm pretty sure. And lead melts at about 621 degrees. Mix them all together in the right ratio, and the whole thing will melt at 1650. Now, it's important with brass, so this is brass. It's important with brass to remember that it has zinc in it, and zinc by itself is not a big deal, but it's not a metal that you want to breathe in. Although zinc melts at 787 degrees, when it gets to 1664 degrees, it boils. That means that it turns into a gas. So although our goal here is 1650, if I just go 15 degrees higher, then I'm gonna have vapor zinc. And even before that, I'm going to be having zinc oxide smoke. So you'll see as we melt this, there will be a white smoke that goes off in the air. So it's important to wear the proper protection. So I'll wear a respirator to make sure I don't breathe that in. Otherwise you get real sick. You'll also see that this will coat all kinds of metal things in this yellowish white color. The zinc boiled, turned into a vapor that then floated up and just connected onto whatever it could find. That would connect inside your lungs as well. That's why you gotta wear a respirator. So let's take a look at the brass. So the brass I'm using right now are these. They're 223. Let's see how well that does. Here they are right out of the water. So they look pretty cool. Those are thicker than I intended, but that's okay.